Anna, I've got some viewer mail here. I got a question that says, if a person does not respect your boundaries and you find yourself resenting them, what can you do?
Well, you can't control somebody else's behavior. You can only control your own. So there may come a time where you may need to distance yourself a little bit from that person. And you probably won't know the length of that distance until you try incremental distances to see what's comfortable for you. Unfortunately, sometimes people don't want to respect your boundaries. There are people out there who just don't. And if you have a cookie jar, they feel like they can take a cookie anytime they want to. So you have to decide what that distance would look like. If it would be just maybe limiting, for example, if it's a family member, you may want to limit your interaction with them to family gatherings and not outside of family gatherings. There may even come a point if somebody is continuously violating your boundaries, even in the small moments that you are together, you may have to distance yourself for a while from those people. You know, you may have to go 6 months, and maybe they'll get the message and maybe they will adjust their behavior.
Distance is a good thing, and if this question is about how to handle confrontation with a person who's not respecting your boundaries, I like to point it out. A lot of times people are passive aggressive or they think they're smooth. There's a very good question here in that, was blank your intended message? Because if it was, then okay, I received it, but if it isn't your intended message, is there a different way of handling what you're doing? Sometimes I ask people if there's a different way to interpret that, because the only way I see right now is negative. That would be one thing, but if this question was about dealing with my resentment, that would be a completely different question, and our responses would be completely different. Their breaking your boundaries is on them, your resentment is on you. And letting it go, or finding the place where you highlight the good thing. There's a book called Crash the Chatterbox where it talks about turning up the good things around anxiety so that they're louder than the anxiety, because it's not about getting rid of anxiety, it's about hearing the good more. If it's all about the worst and most resent-inducing people, are you listening to the other stuff too?
I really like what you said about confrontation too, because confrontation seems to have a negative connotation to it, but if you maybe word it a little differently in your head, all you're really doing is you're being assertive. You know, there's a difference in assertive and aggressive, you know, so just being assertive and engaging in something that has the potential for conflict, it isn't necessarily a bad thing. You're just clarifying information, and you can word it in a way that's very diplomatic. You know, I just want to clarify how I'm perceiving this situation. It feels like blah, 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 whatever it is. And, you know, conflict is so important in interpersonal relationships, because if you just go around avoiding conflict, you're never going to get really close to people. You have to allow yourself to engage in conflict with people, but be skilled at conflict in resolving conflict in a positive way so that you can have really close relationships. It is a lot about compromise and just figuring out each other, figuring out what works for both people.
Healthy conflict is about resolution. If you're interested in resolution and they're interested in resolution, then you have a road ahead. If somebody is not following that, go back to the original part of this video where we're talking about distancing from somebody, because you're not going to go anywhere. If you are both interested in it, somebody once said that sometimes a manure pile just needs some air so that it doesn't stink. We bury things, we deny things, we lie about conflict, we protect other people's interests. Really what we do is we kick a can down the road and the conflict's still there. And so, man, there's a lot in that question. It was a fantastic question. If you're going through something like that, maybe having somebody to process it with could be helpful to you. That's what we do.